We're in Murano, Venice. Here with my good friend Roberto.
Hi.
Lovely to see you again, Roberto. Roberto is a glass artist. Entrepreneur, glassblower, craftsman, and mainly owner and founder of Wave Glass Murano, where we sit here in this beautiful building. Can you give us a little intro of what you guys do and what makes you special?
Yeah, so we're a fairly young company for the Murano world, let's say. I started the company in 2017, considering that the oldest company in Murano has been founded in 1294. We're fairly young. Over the past few years, we've built up a little bit of a reputation, mainly as problem solvers. You know, in the glass world, there are not many problem solvers. And so I think that's been the key to our success is, being a versatile young company in the modern world, which is not very typical, yeah.
And what kind of products do you do? What kind of companies you work for?
The type of companies we work for are mostly companies in the furniture, fashion, design, bathware, lighting industries. And we produce a lot of white label products for them. We sell also things directly to people that come visit us. We're like the only real production factory in Murano that is open to the public, and people can come watch what we do, which is not like a touristy, tourist trappy demo, but it's like real glass blowing. And also people can take glass blowing classes and take tours of a real glass factory. And so, yeah, that's Nina, our company mascot.
And how did you arrive to this point? Did
Right.
you had any previous experience?
Right, no, not at all. I grew up being like a very craft-oriented person. I always loved making things with my hand ever since I was little, working with wood, metal. At some points, I had a phase where I would go buy a soldering tin at the hardware store, melt it on a pot at home, and then pour it into molds I made it to make jewelry I would then sell at school. So I was always very crafty, very entrepreneurial. And working with any materials, fire, love fire, always been a pyro. I burned a couch before I learned how to walk.
Saying hello to mom who's running here
Yeah,
somewhere.
exactly.
She probably...
And when I was 16, I went to America to the US for an exchange student program. And then I ended up spending 4 years there and studying 2 years of physics at Boston University. And after 2 years of physics, I saw this exhibition from Dale Chihuly, who was like one of the world's most famous glass artists, obviously. And I fell in love with glass. I came to Murano, I found a class, I took a summer class, and then I never left. So I found an internship, then a job, then another job, and then one thing led to another. And in 2017, I started a company, which of course didn't look at all like this, but it's very small studio with almost no clients. But then over time, we built a little bit of our reputation.
And did you have any mentors at the time? Somebody who kind of taught you the crafts?
In terms of blowing glass, yeah, I've worked with many people that were very good glass masters. One that I learned a lot, and I really tried to strive to make my technique as similar as possible to his is for example, Kropáčová. He's not super famous, but he's very very efficient glass blower. That's my favorite word, efficiency. So, precise, makes beautiful work, very fast. I love that. And in terms of entrepreneurial, of course, my family, my mother, I grew up with a very strong role model. She was an entrepreneur, and I learned a lot of my entrepreneurial mindset from her. But also, other people from the tech industry, I tried to take a little bit of everyone.
That's one thing that I can second. We met on a New York University workshop about light, and it was a week-long workshop in Prague where we've been experimenting and thinking about the future of lights and what's supposed to be next. And I have to say that one thing that really impressed me is your analytical and researchal background and the way you want to improve things and efficiency, and also these ovens that you bought before the energy prices went up. It was very kind of a smart move, and that's I would say a very connecting line of yours to be very smart about everything that you do.
Being very I think making informed decisions that are data driven, and try to like foresee a little bit, what's going to happen.
One thing that we try to do with this YouTube channel is we try to inspire people that craft is actually a great option as a profession, as a vocation, something that is really fun to do. How was your start, or like how long did it take until it became your profession from this passion project, and how were the starts and the beginnings of everything?
Yeah, it took a little bit. I think it's still like a work in progress. Every day you learn something new, you get a little bit better. I think it's never about like, the goal. It's more about like the journey. If you appreciate the journey, it doesn't matter what the destination is. But for sure, when I arrived in Murano, it was very hard. I was also very young, very inexperienced. I didn't know anything about glass, but over time, I think earlier you asked me about my mentors, and I always say like one of my biggest mentors was my science background and just having like that analytical mind, and just like I think the problem solving that physics gives you really helps with really any problem in life. But
do you have any really challenging projects that you remember?
Yeah, I think one project we did like 2 or 3 years ago, it was the catwalk for Bottega Veneta. That big cactus project. Actually, you were one of the first people I talked to about it when we met in Prague, and it was this crazy project like to do in like 2 months, and it was like structure, glass, like fit everything together, make it seamless, like make it light up, and we were talking about it in a restaurant with Jay, remember?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, how the am I gonna do this? And
I remember the napkin sketching, construction, maybe this, maybe that.
And in the end it happened. I mean, I didn't sleep for like a month, but it was like definitely like a stepping stone for us, showcasing that we could really solve any problem.
It was beautiful. It was a great project.
I mean, we ended up, like they look beautiful, but inside of it, the only way to achieve the structure in time is we used 1-inch plumbing tubes with like standard fittings, and that was like the key to getting the project to work in time, to
key to
function.
Everything.
Yeah, like man.
And how do you choose people you work with? Because I think that's also another thing that is quite special with the Murano glass.
It's very hard. That's like the hardest thing about running a business, choosing like the right teammates, I would say. Like who do you want to bring with you on like a 6 months journey on a ship across the ocean, right? Like it's kind of like I've started being a little bit more analytical over time about how I choose people. I started doing like standardized testing on a platform called Test Gorilla. I found it to be pretty nice, and also I started like checking all the skills that people like write on the resume. Like I can use spreadsheets. I started like being like, no, I need you to like share the screen and do this spreadsheet exercise because like, and I've been like. Not for glass blowers, of course, but for all other positions, I started like really getting into like the nitty and gritty details of things. And I think just like also, the Silicon Valley style of like job interviews, like, okay, this is a problem, show me how you solve it. Doesn't matter if you get it right or wrong, I just want to see how you think,
Yeah.
Doesn't always apply to everything we do, but I think it helps, yeah.
How important is the Murano legacy?
I think the Murano legacy is a very heavy burden to carry. We try to be as respectful as possible to tradition and how things have been done on the island, but we have to also understand that we have to be competitive in the modern market, right? Like, I mean, in Crystal Valley, there's some like great freaking glass, and we have to compete with like all the world, with China, India, Firozabad. So we have to have very strong rooted traditions, but we have to be open to also like eradicate them when it's necessary in order to survive and to bring Murano back to its former splendor. Let's say that's my philosophy, at least. Like, don't be afraid to, tradition is important, but I think it's also very important to throw away the playbook and start from scratch if it's necessary. Yeah.
Knowing you are very passionate and driven person, What drives you with this business? Is this because you see a big business opportunity, or is it for love of craft, or is it a balance?
I do this because of because of a love for glass blowing. I find it so fascinating, the fact that you have to be fully focused, can't make mistakes. It's a very like high stakes every time you make something, and I really enjoy that high stress, that stressful thing. You know, like I enjoy working under pressure. I enjoy it immensely. But also, I grew up in an industrial town. With like a family that came from industry, so I really enjoy like taking the craftsmanship and turning it into not something industrial, but something as efficient as possible in order to be more competitive. And it goes back to what we were saying earlier. And also, I think the ideal that I want to create a new generation of glassblowers that have the skills of the old glassblowers from Murano, but have also like a younger mindset and can be, you know, proficient craftsmen in the modern digital age, which is something that really isn't happening for glass at least. So I think that's very important, and I want to kind of like transmit this mindset that I have to more people so they can start spreading it in the glass community. Yeah.
I think also one thing that people underestimate when choosing craft as a profession is that the beauty of the lifestyle, the interactions you have with people, how fulfilling it is to create something. There are a lot of like invisible positives.
Yeah, for sure. And also, I think going forward in the future, it's going to be more, I think, you know, AI is going to automate basically every office task there is. And so I think being a craftsman in like 5-10 years is going to be something that, you know, it's going to be, I think it's going to be useful skills in the future, yeah.
How do you support the next generation? Because you do also workshops, you do also internships. Are you trying to get more people interested in craft?
Yeah, for sure. I think the classes that we run are a great way to, I think it's a service that we obviously, it's a business endeavor, so we have to make money off of them, but also it's a way to serve the whole glass community, because customers that do a class at our place are going to leave, and for the rest of their life are going to be more informed customers, that if they have to choose between an IKEA glass and a glass made by a human being, like in an artisanal way, they might, you know, statistically tend more towards something more artisanal, because they understand it, they appreciate the process. So I think this kind of like this teaching and this showcasing and this like informing people about artisanal glassblowing, and it doesn't have to be Murano, it can be any artisanal glassblowing, is very important for me. And also in terms of like internships and people, I am trying to like build a team, and I'm trying to scale and grow the company over time, so more and more people can be part of this, and I can really like build this new generation and shape it. Not, you know, like me, but at least obviously we're like all different, but like have the same kind of like ideals and vision. Yeah.
It's very inspiring to see, and every time I'm here I see new faces and old faces also. What is important, that you know, the old team sticks around and there are new people coming in.
Yeah.
How does being a craftsman shape your life? Do you choose different products?
Yeah, I think being a craftsman does affect me. Oftentimes, you know, like everybody, it's very easy to fall in the Jeff Bezos trap of like just like Amazon order, and obviously I do that too. But for sure, like appreciate I appreciate more the beauty of the things, and also question how something was made. Like, you know, you see something beautiful, and immediately my mind starts going like, oh my God, how do they make this? What's the process? What's the thing? I'm a craftsman, but I don't necessarily, I don't dislike industrial products. I think industrial design is an art in its own, but there's very few products that are true, real industrial design. Now you talk about design, and you know, you think about like all these beautiful things, but like industrial design really gets into the nitty and gritty details of how something is produced to get something beautiful for the lowest price possible. You know?
Efficiency of production, materials, and everything combined. How do you see future of craft? We kind of touched on it that you know, AI does have a big effect, but it also potentially have an effect that it will bring more people maybe or inspire more people to do something with their hands, and maybe there will be more personalized product, more people interested in craft. There you go, mate. There you taking the glass pieces out of the oven. It's beeping. Welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, I think if we as craftsmen can adapt to the super fast changing world that we live in today, I think there's a lot of potential, but we have to be open to embrace all the new technologies, AI and all these things, because it's going to be like a real disruptor. Like, you think the internet was a big disruption, like wait 5 years to see what AI is going to do. Like, it's going to be crazy. I'm very excited about the times we live in, and I'm glad to have been born in this time period. Yeah.
And also, I think being a craftsman is like a kind of safe. No, I don't want to say safe position because nothing is really safe.
Yeah.
But maybe it's something that does have a potential for the future, and maybe more people will be interested in making things with their hands.
Yeah, for sure. I think that, and also learn. I keep thinking about this, and I have many ideas and projects and inspirations about this. But like, learn to be a craftsman and kind of like coexist with AI, and how this is going, because inevitably all of our lives are going to be like intertwined with AI at some point in the very near future. They already mostly are, but like even more in the physical world. And I think, yeah, it's like a constant question of like, how do we do our craft, intertwining it with like a world that's like driven by AI. So I don't have an answer yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. Yeah.
I think this is exactly the moment where we are at a tipping point, and we're all trying to see what happens next.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks for finding a time. Tomorrow we have a prototyping session, so
yeah.
I'm very excited for that.
I'm excited too. It's
being
gonna be
back.
fun.
So we can go for a dinner.
Yes, let's do it.
Looking forward. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.